Well, Frank joins us now. Frank, how are you doing?
Good morning, man.
Listen, we absolutely love Chicago and hope that, things are going great out there. Can you tell us about Catholic Men's Chicago Southland, please?
Absolutely. Catholic Men's Chicago Southland is a Catholic apostolate of Most Reverend Joseph Perry of Chicago, auxiliary bishop. And as far as we know, CMCS is the only men's movement that is an apostolate of a bishop in the USA. But CMCS has a practical way of evangelizing Catholic men, young and old, and their families, of helping them to understand what the culture often rejects, how men and women should relate to one another in complementary ways, and how important husbands and fathers are to their children. So since 2004, CMCS has reminded men and helped them to do what is in their power to do, to be holy and courageous men, to improve their marriages and to be better fathers and to grow in virtue and to serve the needs of others more generously, mostly, just to be a better citizen.
Well, Mr. Casella, this is a very wonderful project, and you have some very lofty goals for the men of the Archdiocese of Chicago. And you yourself, I believe, are the executive director of Catholic Men Chicago Southland. What does your role entail?
Well, basically, it's fulfilling the mission of living the goodness of a Catholic man. But actually, I'm a co-founder, along with Deacon John Rango and Bishop Perry. Deacon John and I, by the way, combined have over 50 years' experience in Catholic men's movement. So my role as the executive director, specifically, I'm a full-time volunteer, and I serve to fulfill the many concerns that Catholic men have in society. Some of those concerns are the isolation of men in our society, save for the arena of sports, the spiritual needs of men, often overlooked by rank-and-file churches, the crises of the male identity and family life, and the call for men and fathers to develop holiness and with Christ the center of their lives.
And you mentioned having Christ, Jesus Christ, the center of their daily lives. How do we do that, Frank?
Well, it's a daily battle. It's something that we do with our conferences. We have a conference every year around the season of Lent. And Bishop Perry says for us to have an online ministry, we have to have community also, because Catholic means community. So the conferences are a place for like-minded men to discuss the challenges we face in the workplace and at home. And at the end of each conference, we have a challenge for the men to have a commitment to holiness. And it's also an opportunity for the guys to have Mass with the bishop and afterwards to ask him questions. But that commitment, some guys recommit and some guys have a new commitment. And that's the challenge right there.
Frank, we have a video here with the Auxiliary Bishop of Chicago. As we take a look at it, could you tell us about Bishop Perry's influence on CMCS?
Absolutely. Since 2004, Bishop Perry has been on the board with men's ministry. He's also got a couple other ministries involving men. He's got one called Zacchaeus House, which is a kind of like a home for men that are looking for work and are on the street but have a potential to work. And we're in the south end of the diocese of the Archdiocese of Chicago, where most of the poverty and most of the low income is. And so Bishop Perry's influence, he's always been very concerned about men, and he truly believes that when a man brings his family to the pew, everything else falls into place.
Well, we have Father's Day coming up. I affectionately like to call it Jay's Day in my house. Can you tell us how your mission connects with Catholic dads?
Absolutely. There are actually two ways to look at the CMCS mission and Father's Day, I think. First, fathers are and should be a positive example to our children and to our culture of who Jesus is. And second, Father's Day is more to me about what we learn from our children. And as many good teachers will tell you, the positive lessons shared with our children, what kids give back, like Jesus, is way more than what we could ever give. So, as I often say, when you foster a man in holiness, the adjustments that man makes can be felt for 3 generations. So our children are a report card of how good we are doing at this, and the time we spend with our family should never be a second thought. It should always be our first thought. It is our first ministry. I mean, as husbands and fathers, Jesus said we are the priest of our homes. And as dads, our job is to get our family members to heaven. So that's how Father's Day connects with our mission.
Well, Frank, it's been great having you on. And, before we go to the news and we let you go back to your work and your family, can you tell us where people can learn more about Chicago Men, Catholic Men Chicago Southland, CMCS?
Yes, absolutely. We have a website, cmcsvirtues.org. That's cmcsvirtues.org. That's the website. You can download prayers by Bishop Perry. They're downloaded every day, hundreds of times. We have a blog there. We have two blogs. We have a second blog called Daily Goodness, which is basically like Facebook and Twitter on steroids. It's just sharing the mission of living the goodness of a Catholic man. So that's where you can find us at, cmcsvirtues.org.
Great.
Well, Frank, thanks so much for joining us today. We love the city of Chicago. It's a wonderful place, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, you too. Thanks.